Summer-long party never cools down. It sizzles. He's on a mission to spread his music across the globe, from the Forbidden City in China to the sacred Taj Mahal in India.
I feel this is the most powerful spot in the world to deliver a message of love.
He takes you on Yanni's World Tour. So join the fun, have a ball, and be a part of the most happening party of the summer, because it's all right here tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. The hot spot is E.
World's greatest monuments.
I felt, now you've done it, Yanni. You're really gone too far.
It's the Yanni World Tour. We've got your ticket right here. Hello and welcome to E's one-hour look at Yanni's World Tour. I'm David Adelson. He's been called everything from a new age artist to a contemporary instrumentalist composer. But the truth is, Yanni's music defies simple categorization. Perhaps the best word for it would be inspirational.
I think monuments like the Parthenon, the Taj Mahal, or the Forbidden City are very inspiring. Human beings just like you and I built these. And that's where the inspiration lies for me, and I think to the public also. I feel if they could do it, we can do it.
In 1994, the Greek-born Yanni performed a historic concert at the Parthenon in Athens. The performance set new standards for success, leading to a multi-platinum album, home video, and a television special watched by millions. It also inspired Yanni to embark on an ambitious world tour, the likes of which the world had never seen.
I think as I get older, it becomes very important to me that I let my music be heard around the world. The message in the music, and the message that I've consistently tried to send out to the public, is one of unity, tolerance, acceptance towards each other. I think it has become very important globally now.
The first stop of Yanni's tribute tour was the Taj Mahal, the magnificent marble monument that has come to symbolize all of India. There was just one problem. No Western artist had ever been given permission to play there.
One of the things that helped me a lot was the fact that the Acropolis concert was televised in India. And it struck a chord with the Indian people. And that opened the way for discussions to be allowed to perform at the Taj Mahal.
The kind of music he plays and the sort of persona that he is didn't represent any real, threat. It wasn't like a rock star going and playing, grunge music or something. So I think that probably helped him, and also the fact that it was, our ministry also had some part in that, because, it was a tremendous publicity event for us.
Now we've done it. Now we've done it. I had no idea it was going to be this big.
The Taj Mahal wasn't the only sacred ground to be anointed by Yanni. After performing in Shanghai and Guangzhou, China, Yanni set another first in Beijing's Forbidden City.
Yanni is the first Western artist and musician to give a performance. I cannot say whether we can have more in the future, but this is the exception.
I was very surprised by what I saw in China. I had no concept of China. And I don't think in the United States we really understand what China is by merely watching television.
Despite the emergence of China in the world market, there's still daily reminders of its communist regime.
China brought back a lot of memories for me because I was born and raised in a communist country, in Soviet Armenia. I was overwhelmed by the beauty of the Forbidden City and being so close to Tiananmen Square. I mean, these are places we read about,
Of course, Yanni didn't get where he is by himself. Though he writes his own songs, the artist relies on 11 band members and a 32-piece orchestra to bring them to life.
Yanni doesn't read music. He has perfect pitch. He's a very talented composer, but he doesn't even read music. That's where I come in. Because of the time we've spent together in the past, I know sort of before he's even says something what his needs are, what his wishes are, and I communicate that to the orchestra.
It took him 20, 25 seconds to realize what I could do. And things he'd never heard me do before, he knew I could do. I don't know how. I don't know how to answer that.
Equally important is the input of actress Linda Evans. Yanni's longtime companion provides the artist with a unique perspective.
She has seen me perform so many times. She's my eyes from the audience point of view, and I trust her judgment. She tells me when something works or something doesn't work, and I have someone I can trust their opinion.
She'll describe it to us and tell us what we look like and give little tips and hints as to what would make it better, what angle works best for your face and that kind of stuff. And I've always appreciated that in Linda, because it's those things you get paranoid about, but you don't really want to act paranoid and ask anybody.
Rounding out Team Yanni is Dr. Terry Rock, who made sure Yanni didn't suffer too much for his art in India.
It was the day of the first concert. I went in my dressing room, and just before the concert, I started getting lightheaded, which I've never experienced this in my life. And the doctor said I had heat or sunstroke.
And I came down with, I think, a stomach flu and fever. So the second night, where they were shooting live for a large Indian audience, I was miserable. My health was completely shot. But looking back, that was one of the better nights that we've ever had. And people seem to agree. Many people were feeling ill that night.
A half hour before the show, I could barely walk. It was pretty horrible. The solo cello player, he felt he was going to die. The first French horn player thought he was going to die. I mean, I believe it's definitely a God out there.
I'm sure it was torture with this humidity and everything, but it sounded great. It sounded great.
In the next hour, we'll see how Yanni and company rose to the challenge of playing the concerts of a lifetime at two of the world's most famous monuments.
Knowing that I would be performing at the Taj Mahal, and also knowing that in another month and a half from now I would be performing in the Forbidden City in Beijing, that has influenced my choices of music to write. This is an extremely important project, and we have to do justice to the surroundings. I expect to see incredible video footage and incredible lighting, and I want great sound, and I want everything to go perfectly, which puts the pressure on everybody.
Don't go away, the Yanni World Tour is just getting started. Coming up, Yanni fever grips India.
It's good for India, you know, having such a big musician and such a big band in India.
While China welcomes Yanni with open doors.
Join me from India and Beijing right here on E! Don't go away.
Welcome back to E's Inside Look at the Yanni World Tour. I'm David Adelson. Well, the Taj Mahal has been called the most extravagant monument to love ever built. It's a distinction not lost on Yanni, who kicked off his tribute tour in India.
Visiting India, even a single visit, can teach you a lot about life.
Hi, E. Welcome to the India.
With a population of more than 900 million people, India is the world's largest democracy and a country whose rich cultural, social, and religious history spans more than 4,000 years.
You see existences from different centuries, and there's such a multicultural, multi-everything. It's a melting pot of philosophies, religions, schools of thought, and ways of existing and ways of looking at life.
I think the culture struck me as the most interesting thing about India. I mean, we drive down the street in the middle of, let's say we're on Wilshire Boulevard, middle of rush hour. You've got your cabs, your trucks, your cars, your elephants, your goats, your sheep, all on the same highway, you know. And then you'll have the women carrying the baskets on their heads, and you'll see like a family of 5 riding on a moped or a motorcycle. I was just really impressed by what I saw. It was just so crowded, and everybody made everything work, but it was just so different from what I know. So those images will never leave my head.
Yanni's vision was to stage his concert with India's most famous symbol, the Taj Mahal, as a backdrop.
I'll tell you why I'm fond of performing at these monuments. They point to one direction, and that is human potential and greatness. They stand as a reminder to us
It's a symbol known all over the world. I mean, even if people may not be aware of much of India or be ignorant about the country, but they know that the Taj is there.
This monument, one of the 7 wonders of the world, is located in the town of Agra at the southeast tip of India's Golden Triangle. Exquisitely designed and perfectly proportioned, the Taj was built of white marble by more than 20,000 laborers between 1631 and 1653 during the reign of the Muslim Mughal Shah Jahan.
You know, it was this monument to love, basically, that the Emperor Shah Jahan built for his wife Mumtaz Mahal, and it took about 22 years to build. And when he was imprisoned after his wife died and she was buried, then he was in the Agra fort. From his room, he could still see that monument to his love.
Yanni hoped to pay tribute to the Taj through his own labor of love, his music.
When I present my music in front or with the Taj Mahal as the backdrop, I think there's the monuments amplify the message that is in the music. Performing it here, I feel this is the most powerful spot in the world to deliver a message of love. This is the ultimate monument to love. And I'm not just talking about romantic love. Unfortunately, in English, there's only one word for love. If I was speaking in Greek, I would use the word agapi. It's the unconditional love.
Unconditional love for the project proved to be only one of the prerequisites for an undertaking of such monumental proportions.
As you might imagine, to get the permission, it took a long, long time. And we have generated quite a lot of controversy in the process. And we had to comply with a lot of regulations. And also, we had to win the trust of the Indian people.
Yanni went a long way towards gaining that trust by announcing that all proceeds from ticket sales would be donated to ensure the preservation of the Taj.
I am covering all the expenses. And some people think I'm crazy for doing it. It's an enormous expense, but it's a dream of mine, and I want to know that I have done this. It's worth doing it.
Before his dream could become reality, Yanni had to address the concerns of displaced Agra farmers.
We knew that there were farmers that grew watermelons there for a few months a year. So the first thing we did was negotiate with them to compensate them for their crop for the whole year, because clearly Yanni wouldn't go anywhere and want to take away their livelihood, and in fact we compensated all of the farmers.
He's been very kind, but I know I have disrupted their lives nevertheless, and you can also tell them that this was never my intention. I came here to honor India and Agra and the Taj Mahal, and the last thing I wanted to do was to affect their lives adversely.
But getting permission was only part of the story. Setting up the concert site proved to be a logistical nightmare.
There's no roads, no power in here. We had to build a 300-foot bridge. You know, that's just stuff most people don't go through to pull an ordinary show off. I think we had, at one time, we were running 400 people around the clock, 350, 400 people, 24 hours in shifts. But we went for 3 weeks, working 24 hours a day. Now we're sort of caught up. It's a lot of work.
A lot of work for man and beast alike. The Indian Army was drafted into service to build a bridge across the Yamuna River. But the most intensive labor was performed by animals. Because of environmental concerns about the city's severe air pollution, camels were used in lieu of trucks for transporting materials across the dry riverbed.
You're sitting on a beach. It's the beach, the sand beach on the banks of the Yamuna River. But what we've been able to do through the clearances and permissions we've gotten is to erect temporary structures on this beach. These structures will completely go away in 3 days, and then the river floods over the beaches that it has every year for hundreds of years back to the wall.
Unlike the Taj, it didn't take 22 years to build, yet setting the physical stage for this once-in-a-lifetime concert was an achievement in itself. While all of India prepared for impending Yanni fever, Yanni takes one last thorough look at the site.
Hi, how are you? How are you?
All the chef waiting of you. This made by this. All of these chefs.
Great. All of this you guys built?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just ahead, Yanni gets ready to tackle the Taj. But first, we go behind the scenes with the Yanni team.
I don't do good in hot weather.
Welcome back to E's 60-minute look at Yanni's world tour. I'm David Adelson. Though Yanni was the first Western artist to be allowed to play at the Taj Mahal, he found that the bigger challenge was to actually pull it off.
We feel privileged that we've been given the opportunity to stage a concert with a Taj in the background, where we think it will show the Taj and its beauty to millions of people for many, many years, which is the way of us sort of giving back to India.
Before Yanni could perform at the Taj, his team was busy working out the final details of the production.
There's a long process that goes on with meetings with government entities, with all kinds of ministries and departments to get to a point where you're even going to have a concert.
At first, there were concerns that the sound levels could damage the Taj.
We had, I think, 2 or 3 Supreme Court actions with different people trying to stop the concert. One was with a group of environmentalists who were trying to claim that our concert was going to damage the Taj Mahal. It was going to create noise pollution that might affect the structure.
Fortunately, we have a system that is probably the best system for this application, where it does keep all the sound waves away from the Taj. It projects at a 90-degree dispersion angle towards the front. And so we are keeping all the sound waves away from the Taj.
There was also a question about whether or not the lighting was harmful.
The lights were an issue here, discussion, because obviously you do not want to create any damage on the Taj. But we had our experts come in, we submitted reports, and the fact of the matter is that the amount of foot candles that are indirectly splashed on the Taj are 1/1000th of what natural sunlight could do to the Taj. So there's really no damage at all from the lights.
What's really interesting, this is the first time that the Taj Mahal has been lit since it was built 347 years ago. And I'm causing it to happen.
But the evening wouldn't be possible without the dozens of crew members on hand, not only on stage, but backstage.
You are looking live at Video Control Central, Agra, India, where the Yanni Live at the Taj Mahal show is about to take place. Let's take you through a walkthrough into the control room of our beautiful TV center. These pictures will go live through Doordarshan, which is Indian national television, over 250 million people. We will tape record this event, however, for video release starting in the United States in December on PBS, along with our show at Beijing, China. During the night, our staff has we have a group of over 40 technicians, 15 cameramen on the stage, a total of about 65 television people, complementing the over 200 people here between band, orchestra, and production support, not including the 300 Indians that are working with us in this massive co-production.
Massive, to say the least. But fortunately, the control room has air conditioning. The workers setting up the stage weren't quite so lucky.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time doing the marbleized painting on it, and that in order to match the Taj.
Absolutely.
And then with all the soft goods, they're pulled really tight, so it's got that marble, the marble block look.
Well, it's time to get out of the heat and into the groove. Showtime is just around the corner.
I feel really good now. I mean, now that we're just double-checking everything and making sure everything's okay.
While Yanni's crew takes care of the behind-the-scenes detail, Yanni and his band begin final preparation for this long-anticipated event.
This is like the Olympics. You work for 2 years to prepare. You write the music, you train the musicians, everyone is ready to go, and then you have a window of 2 hours during which to deliver the performance of a lifetime.
We've been rehearsing, I think, for about a year in the studio prior to actually leaving the country to perform. We did one kind of warm-up concert in the States, in Connecticut, and then after that, we just left.
After reviewing previous concerts, Yanni is then able to give feedback to the musicians.
He's an extremely sensitive person. Extremely sensitive, an understatement. This guy got antennas. It's beyond description. It's very hard to explain to people the level of perception that this guy has. And for what he wants to do, he is incredibly, incredibly clear.
This is a very exciting project. It's been a long time and a long, hard work to make it come this close to the actual performance. I must deliver a performance here that's worthy of the Taj Mahal.
Coming up, Yanni boldly goes where no artist has gone before. Well, musical artist at least.
You've been an absolutely wonderful audience to perform for. We have enjoyed you very much.
It's Yanni at the Taj next. Welcome back to E's one-hour look at Yanni's world tour. It was always a dream of Yanni's to perform at the Taj Mahal. Now that the stage was set, that dream finally became a reality.
When I heard Yanni on TV, it was like, wow.
It's just an uplifting thing. When they like you and they let you know it, there's nothing I can think of that tops that.
This is a place that has the power to amplify the message of love that exists in my music.
After a year and a half of preparation, Yanni's historic day at the Taj had finally arrived.
India has entrusted me with its national monument. I take it very seriously, and I work very, very hard to present an event that is worthy of this monument.
Eager fans made the trip to Agra from as far away as Delhi. And just moments before the show, Yanni was presented with a gift of gratitude from the city's governor.
We thought we would give him a memento of the Taj, so that this memory of his performance in Agra will remain with him forever. And I hope he will preserve it and cherish it.
And this event really proves that dreams do come true. So keep that in mind.
Beneath a beautiful burnt orange sky, the crowd waited with anticipation until finally all were alerted by the mysterious sounds of a didgeridoo. The man of the hour appeared, garbed in traditional whites, and took his place center stage.
There's a lot of different cultures that are represented in the orchestra, and it's the best musicians that I could find. And they're all prepared. I think we're ready.
With the Taj Mahal forming a breathtaking backdrop, 7,000 fans looked on in collective wonder. Even Yanni found it hard not to be entranced by the Taj's magical specter.
I would get lost during the concert. I would forget that I am the performer and I am the one who's given the show, and I would forget that, and I sort of get lost in just enjoying my dream. In my mind's eye, I had seen this concert take place, but I hadn't seen it in this magnitude. This surprised even me. It surpassed my imagination.
Though the band follows a set list, Yanni encourages spontaneity within the songs.
I see that the soloist is really getting into it. If they feel like they want to play more, they're on tonight. That's when you got to be sensitive enough to allow them to take off, and that's when the sparks fly.
No one would be in this business up there flaunting ourselves like that if we didn't want attention. So then when you get it, the instant gratification also from the person who hires you, that just adds an extra cherry on top of that. Just makes it that much more enjoyable, really.
When you create your art, who you are goes into music, whether you like it or not. As long as you're telling the truth, as long as you let it come through you, who you are is going to go right in there. And I think when people connect to it, they're lifted in that way.
It wasn't just Yanni lifting the spirits of the Indian fans, they were lifting his.
They're so warm and they're open. If I even look at them and smile, they just return the smile 10 times. They give me so much love, I may never leave here.
He's very much in tune with his audience's needs and wants.
After he wowed the crowd with old favorites and future classics, Yanni brought fans to their feet with an audience participation number called Niki Nana, or We Are One.
Was out of the world, exceptional, amazing.
The triumph of the human spirit, and what he talked about all along, the greatness that exists in all of us.
Especially his style of his hairs. Yeah, and the way he shaked them. I like it very much.
Stick around, the Yanni World Tour is far from finished. When we come back, Yanni gets a frenzied Chinese greeting that would have done Elvis proud. Hi, I'm David Adelson, and this is E's exclusive look at Yanni's World Tour. After the enormous success of his Taj Mahal show, the obvious question was, where does Yanni go from here? The answer? China.
Use music as a language, international language, to connect people together. And that's very important for the music exchange, cultural exchange, and also create better understanding.
Yanni arrived in China with pomp and fanfare, but despite his team's massive preparations, the performer was no more ready for what he would find in China than the Chinese were for the spectacle they were about to see.
We had no idea it was going to be like this. And first of all, I've been treated beautifully here. And the people are warm, they're open, they're very intelligent.
China was such a revelation. China was such an incredible discovery for all of us.
Yanni opened his tour of China with 2 concerts at the 12,000-seat Shanghai Gym. Sound check went off on schedule at 4, doors opened at 6, and at 7:30, Yanni performed his first concert for the Chinese people.
It has been a dream of mine to come to China and present my music to the Chinese people. So tonight, I am a very happy man because I'm living my dream.
There is a very subtle difference between the Indian audience and the Chinese audience. They're a little more reserved to begin with, but they follow through in the concert. Within a few minutes, they begin understanding and they express themselves.
Even they cannot speak in English, or even Yanni cannot speak Chinese language, but it seems by the music, through the music, they have been connected.
They were extremely expressive, extremely appreciative, extremely attentive to the music, and they responded to just about any highlight in the music. They were one of the top audiences I've ever had, and I'm not exaggerating.
After 2 successful nights in Shanghai, Yanni moved on to the Guangdong province for 2 sold-out performances in the city of Guangzhou.
On to Guangzhou.
The arduous journey covered hundreds of miles, an impromptu Q&A with the Chinese media, and multiple forms of transportation.
This guy, who is this guy? He's flying around everywhere. What I noticed is that they had tremendous interest over the instruments, because I'm using quite a lot of different instruments.
For example, the Chinese flute, he uses the Armenian duduk, he uses a charango from Peru, the guitar, saxophone, bamboo sax, you know, many different didgeridoo from Australia. I mean, it's a huge appeal, and wherever we go, wherever we play, there's something of the show that speaks to the people, speaks to the locals, you know. And it's because of all those elements that he puts together, and he does it successfully, that the music has so much appeal in so many different parts of the world.
From Guangzhou, Yanni moved on to Beijing, China's capital city. With its 11 million inhabitants operating an estimated 8 million bicycles, it's earned the apt nickname, the Bicycle Kingdom.
I don't think the number of the bicycles has been reduced or not, but the number of the automobiles has been tremendously increasing.
Not only automobiles, but hotels, restaurants, and other modern facilities have sprouted up in the rapidly developing city.
And also to better serve international visitors, we not only have McDonald's, we have other fast food, Western fast food, like KFC and Pizza Hut and Hard Rock Cafe.
Despite China's junk food frenzy, some of its cuisine still maintains an ancestral exoticism. The old mingles with the new all over the city.
I actually came out of a grocery store in China with a jar full of scorpions. And I'm like, okay, what do we do with this? It's like another kind of calamari, but I brought it home because I had to tell people about it. It was really interesting.
Just ahead, Yanni gears up for his Forbidden City show. But first, the performer breaks from his tour to become a tourist. Welcome back to Yanni's World Tour. Well, if you've ever seen the movie The Last Emperor, you know all about China's Forbidden City. For 500 years, it's served as home for 2 dynasties of emperors. It remains the largest cluster of ancient buildings in China and the ideal site for Yanni's next show.
He just came across a map. Wow.
Up until 1911, only the Chinese imperial family was allowed in the Forbidden City. Now one of the country's most visited tourist spots, it provides a rich historical backdrop for the final stop of Yanni's World Tour.
The Forbidden City is an architectural wonder. I mean, if you walk around, what I was struck by was the size of it. I had no idea it's that big, and all the squares and the temples and the palaces, and it goes on and on and on forever. But it's also this tremendous beauty which would lend itself to pictures. And it's a symbol of power, too, because this is where China was run from for centuries. To be in the Forbidden City doing a concert, if somebody said, you know, that's possible 5 years ago, there's no way I would believe it. It was a cloud in my mind. It was sort of, maybe someday we can get something like that done because of the beauty of this place. And to actually be doing it today is stunning.
Yanni was going to be the first Western artist ever to perform in the Forbidden City. Because of that, it involved going to the Ministry of Culture and convincing them that he was the right kind of artist to come to China and perform at a site that they consider very special to them. Secondly, it's very close to Tiananmen Square, minutes away, and this concert event was taking place a few days before the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre, so there was a tremendous sensitivity.
When looking for a concert site within the Forbidden City, Yanni settled on the Working People's Cultural Palace, which proved to be very photogenic.
See what I have to do?
The harmony of art and nature in China provided Yanni with endless inspiration. And just an hour outside Beijing is the Great Wall of China, a landmark that surprisingly reminded Yanni of his native homeland.
This is magnificent. And the one thing that I didn't realize is that the landscape here in particular reminds me of the Greek mountains. Very similar kind of vegetation and very similar type of rock formations. The Great Wall is something that it's probably the only man-made structure that can be seen from space and so on. You think of something enormous and it weaves through like a snake, and it's exactly what you imagine. But it's also beautiful. It's a stunning feat. I mean, the fact that it was created at all. I think the sheer size of it is the importance of it.
Back in Beijing, workers put the finishing touches on the concert site. And while it didn't take 1 million workers to build the site, as it did the Forbidden City, it still proved to be a formidable challenge. As night settled on the Imperial Palace, fans filed in for the first of two historic shows. With anticipation running high among the awestruck crowd, one had to wonder if Yanni was feeling nervous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, the nervousness is a good thing. I hope to have a little bit of nerves because it gives you the edge. It gives you a sparkle in the eye.
Don't go away. After the break, we've got all the sights and sounds of Yanni's Forbidden City concert. Welcome back to E's Inside Look at Yanni's World Tour, which wrapped up with an unforgettable show in Beijing's Forbidden City.
I've written some music that I'm looking forward to performing in the Forbidden City. It's specifically written for this place. It's going to be a magical night.
After the phenomenal success of the Taj Mahal concert, Yanni found himself with a tough act to follow. For the Forbidden City show, the performer surrounded himself with the same crew and band members with the same stunning results.
It's a team. It's a team effort. You know, every link has to function correctly. If anything, any part of the system breaks down, the whole thing falls down. You can't have a great show with not good lights. You can have perfect lights, but you have bad direction, bad camera work, it falls down again. And you can have great music with bad performance or great performance with bad music. And, you know, everything has to just work right.
He just seems to have an insight about the talent of the various individuals that he works with, whether they're musical talent or media talent, camera operators, or whatever they may be. He has an insight into that talent, and he works with it. He'll feature it. If he feels that it's something that will be appealing, he'll feature it that much more.
We do work very hard, and he points out what he likes better. And based on that, we structure a form. And the challenge here is combining something that came spontaneously out of thin air, so to speak, into something that is stable every time. But we have ways of interpreting that in a way that seems fresh and new each time we play it.
Introducing them to, you know, here I am in Beijing performing 10 compositions that they've never heard during the concert. And they're so attentive, they're responding to each piece and each sound and each instrument. We're introducing them to a lot of new material, a different way of doing music. It's all new to them. And they're accepting it. Chinese people, if you meet the people, and they're very warm, they're emotional, and the way they respond to the concert, I could feel what kind of people I'm addressing, what kind of people I'm talking to, because you can feel them react to the music. And if they're responding to those kind of emotions that I'm playing with in the music, it tells me a lot about the humanity in them.
Yanni wasn't the only one visibly moved by the crowd's good cheer. Band members were also uplifted to new emotional heights.
Absolutely. That is like better than any coffee, any espresso you could think of. It's just an uplifting thing. When they like you and they let you know it, there's nothing I can think of that tops that. Nothing at all.
If you're me and you're at the epicenter of the energy, because obviously, you know, to have 12,000 people focus their attention on you, you feel that. You really, you can tell, I mean, I can feel an audience, I can tell when I'm exciting them, when I'm boring them, when I'm losing them, or I'm picking them up. You know, I feel every little second of the concert.
Beyond the magnitude of the concert was the overwhelming experience of China itself. An experience none will soon forget.
China was such an incredible discovery for all of us, and I just loved it. I made great friends. I brought more than 45 instruments from there. It's incredible.
With all the changes going on between China and Hong Kong right now, I think that this was just a great time to get in there and do something like that. And I think it will be symbolic of this time in history. I think it will be a part of that whole symbolism.
Although the China and India concerts were marked by years of hard work and preparation, there's still the daunting task of compiling both shows onto a live CD and video special.
It'll be a pretty mammoth job because both concerts were shot with 15 cameras and on multiple nights, so he has such a variety of choices. I think the selection process is going to be the most difficult for him.
I know I'm going to spend the next 3 months editing and working on the sound and making the album and the video. And after that, it's a continuation of the world tour, and I think that's going to take another 1.5 years or 2 years out of my life. Past that point, I think I ought to have a life. I'm probably going to take some time out and take care of Yanni for a while.
With a final bow to the audience, Yanni completed his tribute tour, but not before the audience paid tribute to him. That's going to do it for E's Inside Look at Yanni's World Tour. I'm David Adelson for E! Entertainment Television, your entertainment news and information authority. Thanks for watching.